I transcend in this life through feelings of pleasure, which are all good feelings, including love, motivation, and empowerment. My dream in life was to be an anime and video game composer. My sole reason for doing so was to get transcending pleasure highs off my compositions, which would make me transcended and my life greater. I am like a heroin addict, but in a very profound, transcending, and meaningful sort of way. I am not just like some junkie who just lives life for those generic pleasure highs any drug user would get. I live for feelings of pleasure that are far more profound. I never did any heroin or any other type of drugs, and nor would I ever consider doing any drugs because I know the type of damage those drugs can do to you. They even damage the areas of the brain that experience pleasure, and there is no way I would ever choose to have that happen to me. But even though I have never did any drugs or heroin, my mind has now been permanently wired like a heroin addict's, in that only feelings of pleasure define me and my life as good and nothing else. Only me getting pleasure highs makes me and my life the greatest, so it is now too late. I am forever bound to only perceiving pleasure as being the only good thing there is in life. But I have now lost all my feelings of pleasure 24/7 every day, and there are never any given brief moments of pleasure at all. So I have given up being a composer for now, only until my full feelings of pleasure return. If they can't return, then I'll never go back to ever being a composer again. Some say that there is a form of pleasure, joy, and happiness that can come from our thoughts, perceptions, including everything else in life without our actual feelings of pleasure. But these people are only lying and fooling themselves. This form of pleasure is nothing more than a lifeless, dead, bland, and zombie-like form of pleasure, and is nothing more than just the thought of pleasure, not the actual experience of pleasure. One last thing I'd like to say to conclude this interview is that if I were to choose to compose in this dead, zombie-like, content, neutral mind state, then there is no way I can ever possibly stand that. I would become enraged since I am unable to derive profound, transcending feelings of pleasure from my compositions and my world of composing. I am not the bland, lifeless, and robotic-like type of person who lives life like a job. I am much more profound and much more transcending than that. I am a profound and transcending type of person. Hence the reason why I can only live my life through experiencing pleasure and profound transcending pleasure highs. I refuse to ever live my life as the bland robot, which is a life I find no value in whatsoever. That life would only be an utter mockery and insult to me. If I were to ever somehow choose to live with and accept such a lifestyle and such way of composing, I would become enraged and view myself as inferior, since I am no longer that profound and transcending individual. Therefore, I refuse to be this bland, biological robot in the world of composing. I must get a pleasure high from my compositions and themes for the characters and their worlds in order to feel transcended from them. Otherwise, there is no longer anything for me in this life, and nor is there anything for me in my composing dream. I can still live for others and compose for them, but I have a right to have my personal good life too. My feelings of pleasure are the only things that give me a sense of bond and connection to the characters and their worlds. They are also the only things that inspire compositions and themes for them, whether they be dark, tragic, gothic, happy, beautiful, or joyful themes. Therefore, since I have completely lost that sense of bond and inspiration, then this is the reason why I have completely given up being a composer for now. Since my pleasure has been put to a halt, then my life and composing dream have also been put to a halt. Only if my full pleasure returns would me, my life and composing dream be up and running again with the flow of vigor and transcending life force.